Hey, honey, welcome to the Second Chance Sisters podcast, the show that gives you permission to give yourself a second chance. My name is Dania Hendricks Johnson, and my co hosts are Koyan Lewis. Hey, Koyan.
Hey, Tania.
And Marlo Thomas. What's up, Marlo?
Hey, Boo.
We are the Second Chance Sisters. Happy Valentine's Day, ladies.
Happy
Valentine's Day.
I am so excited to start this day of love off with you too. And I'm so excited about this podcast. So, I don't know if you know, I'm the youngest of two older brothers, and I've always longed for a sister. And so I was like a oops baby. My mom didn't find out she was pregnant with me until she was 4 months, right? And so I begged her to give me another sibling. But of course she wouldn't, because I was the oops. But God doesn't make any mistakes. So I had to find my sisterhood, my sisters, and my friendships. And so it wasn't an easy task, but I thank God that He has blessed me with sisters like you and other sisters who have come into my life and have helped me along every journey of my life to get me where I am today. So I want to just let you all know a little bit about myself. You'll get to learn all of us as this podcast progresses. But again, my name is Dania Hendricks Johnson. I am 46-year-old single mom that happens to be divorced. I dibble dabble in event planning and event managing. My 9 to 5, I work with medical students, but I am an entrepreneur by heart. I've been in a health and wellness network marketing company for over 6-7 years, and that's where I met Koyan. I have 2 beautiful young adults. Listen, they're gorgeous on the outside and they have beautiful souls on the inside, and I'll let you know about them later as well. And just a little bit more about me. I love to volunteer, and I started volunteering at a young age. Just because I felt like it was always a time where somebody needed somebody else. It could be financial. It could be you're having a surgery and you need someone to bring you a meal. So I always found myself wanting to give myself to others and help others. And one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast, because I went through so many things, my divorce and, raising my kids as a single mother, which I never thought that I would do before. And I had people help me along that journey, but I didn't know how to kind of navigate that journey by myself. And so because I had help, I'm hoping that, we can help other people through some of their journeys. Like I said earlier, I met Koyan in a network marketing business, and Koyan is such a sweet soul. She's one of those people who sends you like texts when you don't need it, encouraging texts when you don't need it, but not when you don't need it. She sends you encouraging texts, not necessarily not expecting them, but when you actually need it. She's always a shoulder to lean on. Anytime I call, she makes herself available. And Koyan, I just want you to, let everybody know who you are. Just tell them a little bit about yourself.
Dania, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Girl, I just want to say thank you. I never imagined being a part of something like this, but being on this side of podcasts while still learning all about podcasting is amazing. So I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for trusting me, but also thank you for giving yourself a chance on yourself and your dream and carrying this out, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay? But like you said, a little bit about myself, and thank you so much for all the kind words. Just a little bit about myself. I am the of 7 children, same 2 parents, and boy, I tell you, I give it to my mother. I don't know how. But the oldest is 7. I have 4 brothers and then 2 younger sisters right below them. And I've always been a person who has like this. I've always bared the weight of feeling the need to keep things together, keep people together, no matter what the cost, because how I manage my siblings determine the benefits that I gained at home. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of translated into my life and into my circles. But something that you said something that you said resonates with me. And I didn't even realize it until much later in life. I always longed for a sister. And so I found myself being drawn to different circles of women, and oftentimes it would be older women that I would find myself drawn to, and I would just kind of gleaning from them how to do things, or they would be encouraging me and speaking life into me. Well, in turn, I found that has been the way that I've just naturally operated with people as well, you know? Also, like yourself, I am a single mother, single divorced mom, 2 children, well, an adult child and a teen. My son is 20. Girl, I gotta do the math. I think he will be 29. I believe he will be 29 on his upcoming birthday on March 1st. I believe 29. And my son is living in New York and doing very well for himself. And my daughter is 15. So yes, he's 20. He'll be 29 because they are 14 years apart. So yes, but my daughter's name is Blue. My son's name is Mister. And believe it or not, just for the gap, for such a great gap in their ages, they are extremely close and have always been, which is great. But something that you had just mentioning like being a single woman and then also being a divorced mom. Girl. That'll be a story for another segment, okay?
Exactly. We have stories.
All I can say is I'm so glad I did not give up hope and gave myself a second chance, because I just didn't think I was going to make it. You know what I'm saying? Once married, and always had this concept in my mind, because my parents were married for 40 years, my grandparents 56. But I came from a place where there were long term marriages. You know what I'm saying? And so I just assumed it was just going to be automatic. So, girl, was devastating. But I'm good now. I'm good. He and we're good. The kids are good. You know what I'm saying? So,
yes.
All that said, I too am, I work, but I work for the government. I'm a project manager. I've been working for the government. Goodness, girl, there's a math again. I think maybe 20 some odd years. Yeah, about 20 some odd years. I've been with the government, and I was never the person who, I never was that person that felt like I got to get me a good government job and my benefits and my this and that. But I was always, because I have a strong entrepreneurial spirit, as you know. However, because especially being a single mother, I've always had a strong need and desire for stability. Yes. So even if that meant I had to make a hard sacrifice to work outside of my normal, and being an aquarium, shout out to the aquariums, we cannot be boxed in, okay? But to kind of work within like 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever your hours might be, in like a regimented schedule, that was something that was, it disrupted the entrepreneur inside. So I understood that I had these children, and I have to give them everything that they get. It's going to come from me. So I have to make sure that I color within the lines to provide that stability. And then of the work that I do for the government, that's where I will live and let the entrepreneur inside just drive me, Yeah,
so, absolutely.
But I've said a lot, and I know we have another powerful, beautiful sister and leader on the line. So I'll say tag to Marlo, so that she can let the people know who she is, and I'll wait my turn, honey.
Thank you, Koyan. Thank you, Dania. Dania, you didn't say nothing about how we met, but
I know I was gonna get there. But you tell the story.
We've known each other for a minute, and really blessed to have met you. I think both of our lives converged at a time where we didn't know we needed each other, but we found out that we did through our children. And so we'll talk more about that story, about how heartbreak really, I think, brought us together in a way that allowed us to become co-parents of sorts for each other in the midst of our own kind of relationship turmoil. But who am I? I'll begin with, I am the daughter of Carolyn and Ron Thomas, two former educators who ran away from their hometowns to the Bronx. And I was born and raised in the Bronx, the home of hip hop that really shaped and formed who I am as a person, my love of music, my love of fashion, my love of art, and went on to grow up in a forced single parent home because my father, at the age of 5, I experienced my father passing away from a massive heart attack. And as a result of that, I watched my mother have to really navigate life in ways that, unbeknownst to me, would really instill leadership qualities and skills in ways that I could not even imagine. Unlike you, I grew up in a household with a lot of siblings, much like Koyan. I have 2 older sisters and an older brother, and then I have a younger brother. But because of the age gap between myself and my older sisters, I always grew up with experiencing them trying to be my mother with a V. And rebelling against kind of like, their female authority over my lives. And so I think I spent most of my life, like the 2 of you, searching for sisterhood in different ways, in ways that didn't feel like I was being mothered by the women who surrounded me, but more like I was being supported by the women surrounded me. And so I've been really fortunate in my life, both with wisdom from women who I consider older and much wiser than myself, to the opposite side of that, as being seen as a great mentor to women and young women who are much younger than me, who look towards me to play that role in their lives.
Yeah.
But I've been able to find a new sense of sisterhood. I am happily divorced, and I put the capital H on the happy. And I'm in a new phase in my life. Talk about second chances, right? Because I am at a phase where I'm learning to tell myself that I'm no longer a single parent, because I'm in a relationship where I don't feel like I'm parenting alone for the first time. Since being a parent. And so I'm in this process of really understanding how to, in healthy ways, blend a family. So while I biologically have 2 children of my own, my son will be 21 in May. My daughter just turned 15 in December. I also consider myself to have 4 bonus children. A 24, a 22, a 20, and a 16-year-old that have been blessings in my life over the past year. And so I'm sure as we talk more about our topics, we'll be able to talk more about who we are. But I would be remiss to say that, so much of who I have come to be as a woman, Dania, has been through you and I in the quiet moments of our life, figuring out who we are as sisters together through the ups and the downs, both in being parents and being women coming out of relationship, and in better understanding who we are as we navigate some of the challenges of that together, the highs and the lows, because it ain't all been bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So thanks for having me here. Thank you for providing this platform and opportunity for us to not only connect with ourselves, but connect with so many other women out here, who might hear something in our stories that resonates with them, that might give them the courage to speak up and provide their own testimony of what a second chance has been like. I just really feel like platforms like this, we never know where it's taking us, but trust and believe that we'll figure it out along the way, as we always have.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I'm excited about it. It's funny that you talked about just us being there for each other in the highs and the lows. And I just always think about how I had to like literally lean on you, like somebody when you say on my side, literally had to lean on you when I needed to go places. And we'll talk about this in a whole nother episode. But Marlo would meet me there because I couldn't go by myself. I was afraid to go by myself, and I would have to call Marlo like, are you going? I need you to go. And Marlo would be like, okay, you let me know what time you get. Like, I would invite her. I mean, she had an invite too, but I would literally invite her and say, I'm not getting there until you get there. And it was such a hard time in my life. And as Marlo talked about blending families, it was like probably the introduction to the blending of, you know, my family with my ex-husband and his current family. And it was a difficult time, a difficult space. But every time I called Marlo, child, she was there. And so, but that's what I think the Second Chance Sisters is about. Just reaching out, and your friend, your sister is there when you need them, and when you don't. It was a time with Koyan. I remember, like I said, we were in a network marketing company, and it was a conference that I really wanted to go to, but child, I didn't have the money to get there. And Koyan, since she didn't ask, she just say, oh, you're not going? She literally sent the money to my bank account, and did not ask for it back, wasn't expecting it back, but just there because she knew that I wanted to be there, but also knew that I needed to be there, and she wanted me to be there. And so I don't always think that relationships are like just, you know, a person just gives and it's a give and take, but I think it's just, you know, like just opening up that space just to let someone know that they can trust you and that your heart is in the right place and your heart is, you know, there for them, especially when you need them and the times that you don't.
Well, I mean, that trusting is an important piece, you know, because the things that we're talking about here require a lot of vulnerability. And, you know, Dania, I know you more than I know Koyan. And though what I do understand is that the stories that we share in terms of how we came into this podcast together have required us to have a great degree of trust in letting people see us some of the darkest moments in our lives. And you know, that takes a great deal of trust, that when you open up yourself to allow someone to see you navigating the darkest moments of your life, that those dark moments aren't going to find themselves, you know, at somebody else's dinner table or somebody else's phone call. And so, you know, I think it's required from us a degree of like understanding that we're a vault, and what we share with each other, what we've gone through, what we give each other access to, that's sacred. And you know, I think over time there's just the consistency and holding that sacred space for each other, and knowing that no one else gets access to that space has allowed us to be even more supportive of each other, because we trust each other literally, like with each other's life.
Yeah,
I like that, and I definitely agree. Like, when do you don't normally hear people coming together so quickly. No FaceTime, but I know you two might have time FaceTime together that we, the three of us collectively, have not had. Although there have been attempts to do so, but we still have moved forward. And again, it kind of goes back, as I'm listening to Marlo just talk about the degree of trust. It just makes it just, the thing that kept coming up in my spirit is faith. Just having faith. And for us to be here today, for us to go through those times that, you know, we all have spoke, those dark times, and like Marlo said, I think earlier, and it hasn't all been bad, but for us to have gone through the things that we've gone through to get to this point today, and to get to a point where we're willing and open to share collectively and freely,
Yes.
it had to take a degree of faith. I know for me, I know faith has been the only thing at times when I had nothing else
Mm-hmm.
within,
Mm-hmm.
just
Right.
happening, and knowing that I can't see it, I don't know how, but the things that I've been able to accomplish, or like Marlo said, I'm listening to Marlo again and talking about, giving recognition and honor to her relationship. I announced myself as a single mother, yes, and a single person, but I didn't give credit to the fact that God has sent somebody my way, and
Come
Look
on.
at that.
what? So I'm thinking,
That's
I'm
why,
like,
but
wait
that's
a
why I
minute,
said
wait a minute.
it's a reprogramming. You know what I'm saying? Because we
Yes,
spend so
yes.
much time, and not that we want to spend that time in that space of just doing it by yourself, but that becomes the narrative for you, and that becomes the survival mechanism. And then when you get blessed and someone comes into your life and you realize, man, it didn't always have to be this way, and yet I had to respect the fact that the reality is that it was. I consider it for myself a reprogramming to teach myself that it's okay that I'm not in this alone anymore. And so I just try to, like
Absolutely.
you said, give credit where credit is due, that it's a powerful thing to be single and out here doing it on your own, but it's also exhausting.
Come on.
And so when you got someone who now you have confidence and trust, talk about trust. What does that mean, right? That's Roy barking in the background.
Hey, Roy.
Roy's like, preach.
He's in agreement.
Hey, Roy got a word
Roy
too.
said, "You forgot about me in this blended family."
He's like, he forgot to say I'm a child too up in this household. But it is. And then look at us, here we are, it's Valentine's Day, and there's so many people who feel a certain type of way about Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah.
Because I watch so many people in relationships, you know what I mean, like Valentine's Day comes and their public displays of affection and love, and Valentine's Day goes away and the love goes away. And as second chance anything in my life, I want the opposite. I want the flip side. I want to experience Valentine's Day every day, and when this day comes, it doesn't feel drastically different or performative, because we're now practicing love one day out of the year.
Right.
And so I just think there's something to be said about us launching, this podcast on the Day of Love, because love is absolutely vital to everything that we do. And without love, there's just nothing. So thank you for, again, sharing this space with me on the Day of Love, my sisters.
Well, I love you today. I love you both today and every day. But wait, I want to do something. I need to reintroduce myself, because Marlo just said we have to change the narrative. And I said, my name is Dania Hendricks Johnson. I'm a single mother. We got to change that. Well, listen, I do want to give a shout out to my co-parent and my baby daddy, because he is a part of my kid's life. So I was, it was some rough times, but he was there. So I want to take that single mom away.
Yes.
To think of a new name.
Come on.
I got to reintroduce myself, because listen, my two sisters over here have their new love life, and mine is coming, but I need to put that energy out there.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we
Manifest, honey, let it manifest.
Come up with a different word so I can reintroduce Dania Sakina Hendricks Johnson.
Single and co-parenting,
Co-parent.
And listen, there's nothing wrong. I know a lot. Like I said, my mom was a single mom by no choice of her own. When you lose a spouse in that manner and they're not physically here and present to be able to, but hell, the truth of the matter is I was married and felt like I was single mom in it, in a marriage. And so, there's so many, the spectrum is wide and large, and each of us, I think the three of us are here just, sharing of ourselves in the ways that we're learning to practice, how we can find ways to like introduce ourselves into the world without, not giving credit where credit is due, for those co-parents who are showing up, or for those new relationships that are currently in our life, and really helping in ways that we just haven't been able to experience that help. And so for that, I feel really blessed that we have this second chance to kind of redefine what those relationships have been, not only with ourselves, but with the other people who have, whether it be through divorce, whether it be through separation, whether it be through death, whatever it is, like we're at this second chance of being able to redefine for ourselves how we introduce ourselves into this world.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, listen, before we come to a close, what can the listeners expect? Like, when they talk about, I don't even want to get off of this podcast right now. It just keeps making me think of things that we can talk about, but let's give them some things that they should expect to hear from us. We're girlfriends, we're, sisters, and we will talk about what sisters talk about, what friends talk about. We all talked about, like, we've been divorced, and Koyan and Marlo are in new love, so we'll talk about new love relationships and marriage, and trusting and taking second chances, being single and redefining what that is, dating and our children and traveling. What do you guys want to talk about on this podcast?
My goodness, to be empowered, what it means to be empowered, and then to pass it on and to empower other people.
Yes.
Just to be uplifted, to believe in yourself, to see yourself, to see a thing that you desire for yourself before you see it, and then to manifest it and to speak life. I see so many things. You've hit the nail on the head with so many things that people will have to look forward to. And there are things that they'll have to look forward to that we may not even know yet, because it'll be deposited into our spirit, what I mean? Well, they want to make sure that they tune in, and they need to bring a friend also.
Right. I think for me, I hope that we spend time talking about fear and how much fear holds us. How much time do we spend living in fear? And how much fear prevents us from, we're talking about second chances if it is the only other chance that we get, but there's of the second chance that happens in our life if only we don't let fear get in our way. And yes. I think just really focusing in on, like, how do we silence that fear, step into the next best version of ourselves. Talking about our kids, and how our children have experienced the highs and the lows and the ups and the downs, and what does it mean to for them in this second chance of our lives, so they're not having to repeat the same mistakes that we made. And when they do make those mistakes, like, how do we show up for them in ways that gives them room to, move out of that space and chance that they, just like we lives. I really want to spend time, talking about our children, maybe even hearing their voice in this conversation, because so much of everything that we now do is motivated by making sure that they're set for success in life. They've had an up like front row seats, right, of all of them, of all of the challenges, but also all of the success. And so, how do we get our children into this conversation and really talk about how they've been affected by the decisions that we have made, and then I'm really focusing in on how we define sisterhood, and especially in the Black community. I think about how we as Black women not only need to continue to find ways to show up for each other and celebrate each other, because we often operate from the place and space of deficit mindset. There's not enough room for the top, and that's just
Come
not
on.
true.
Come on.
And so, how are we defining sister in such a way that we don't have to get along, but we certainly don't have to tear each other down, and we certainly don't have to not recognize why it's so important to celebrate the success of our sisters. And then on the other side of that, like, what are we doing to really lift up our Black kings and speak life into them? And that includes my Black son, your Black son.
Yeah.
How are we again that this world is in out chipping? And I think sisterhood perspective have to be thinking about not just our own self-preservation, but how we allow our Black men to survive out here as well, just like we always have done historically. So those are some things that I'm hoping we can just, to get our toes dipped.
Listen,
come on.
Deep, Marlo.
Listen, you just took us into another year, okay?
There's so much we could, there's so much that needs to be talked about, right? And how do we invite voices? There's women out here making room for those voices to join us in the podcast, so that we can the work of women, sisters out here who are just they're doing the damn thing every single day.
Yeah. Well, where was this podcast 20 years ago? That's all I have to say, because I needed this podcast in my life.
Listen, the universe was waiting for you to arrive today, okay?
Well, listen, we're going to come to a close. Let me let you know what's going on next week's episode. We're going to get a little deeper, not as deep as Marlo took us, but we're going to get there. So as we're going to be coming out of Valentine's Day, we're going to talk about breadcrumbing. I don't know if you all ever heard of that term. If you haven't, you get just enough. If you haven't heard of that term, you want to know what it is, you want to figure out what we're talking about on Second Chance Sisters next week, come and find out about all the breadcrumbs and if you need a full meal. But be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. If you have any topics that you would like to talk about, if you would like to be featured on this podcast, please message us on Instagram, or you can email us. Instagram, we are The Second Chance Sisters. TikTok, we are The Second Chance Sisters. And you can email us at thesecondchancesisters@gmail.com. Now, we are The Second Chance Sisters. We have defined half of our lives by our marriages, our divorces, our children, life struggles, and so many other things. But we have realized that we have a second chance in all that we do. And so do you. We want you to know that it's okay to give yourself a second chance, or as many chances as you need. It doesn't matter how old you are, your background, how many setbacks you've had. We believe in you. We are here to inspire you. We are here with you. We are here to motivate you. And we want you to continue to believe in yourself. Thank you again for checking out this podcast, listening to us. Please share it with a friend. And we love you. Happy Valentine's Day to you all.
Happy Love Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, ladies.
Happy Valentine's Day.